Hello again, everybody. Scott Casper, Takedown Media. We head to Indianapolis, Indiana today to talk with Anthony Holman, the Associate Director of Championships and Alliances for the NCAA. He joins us now in the Nike hot seat. Anthony, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Scott. I'm doing well, thanks.
Welcome back.
Good to be here.
It's a time of year people mostly would think that you're probably not too busy, but not really so. You just returned back from New York City, which is the site of the 2016 NCAA championships that'll take place at Madison Square Garden. How big a challenge is holding an event of this size in a city the size of New York?
Yeah, it certainly presents some challenges for Scott, but I think the rewards that we'll receive from it will certainly be worth it. Anytime you have 330 student athletes, 200 plus coaches, officials, administrators, media, and you're trying to keep them in a condensed area in a very highly populated area like New York City near the Garden, hotels and transportation and things like that always present a challenge. But we've been fortunate to have some great support from the folks at the Garden, along with our host institution, Hofstra University. So I feel really confident about where we are in our planning stage right now for the championship.
I know our good friend Jeff Hathaway at Hofstra is so excited. I don't think Hofstra can do enough. Those may be his words, they may be mine, but it surely is the way I feel. They are very excited about the opportunity to be affiliated with and host as the host institution this event. It is a big, perhaps you're underselling it. In its level of difficulty because New York hosts a lot of events. But hosting an NCAA event, there's certain responsibilities that the institutions, the host school, and the building, certain things that they have to do because, after all, this is the NCAA.
Yeah, it's not a Knicks or a Rangers game, but they're used to putting on high level events. It's the world's greatest venue, right? So that they know how to put on events. We have some unique needs. We try and provide a safe haven for student athletes when they're not competing. So we like to create an area that provides them a chance to get away from the competition and relax and have some hydration and nutrition that we need. And they're set up great for that. We're going to be able to utilize their theater area for our practice area, and it's got 4,000 seats in there, so kids will be able to spread out and relax. And we'll have some big screen TVs and monitors and other things in there, so they can watch competition when they're not competing. We were able to secure a hotel property, the New Yorker, that's just literally a block from the Garden, where we'll house all of the teams. So those types of things have been really good and come to fruition for us. Now there's a concert that's going to take place on Monday and Tuesday night of championship weekend, so we won't be able to physically move into the competition venue as early as we typically have. So we'll have to do some unique things there to provide some practice opportunities for the student athletes. But again, with the amount of space that they have in the theater, we feel comfortable with making those adjustments.
Anthony Holman, Associate Director of Championships for the NCAA, joins us. We're talking New York City. We're talking about the unique opportunities we have in New York City, and one of them is the reasonable proximity to the world's greatest media collection, and that is in the city. And that is part of this whole thing, isn't it? I mean, presenting this sport to the world through some of the greatest media outlets in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. We're fortunate with our wrestling championship to have a very loyal and avid fan base. Folks that travel to our championship year after year and have been doing so for decades. Actually, one of the things that happens at our championship, Sandy, one of our PA announcers, typically on Saturday night, does a little exercise where she asks people that have been to 10 Division One championships to stand up, and we've got 60-70% of the arena standing, and then she goes to 15 and 20 and 25 and 30, and that number continues to dwindle. But we've got folks that have been coming for 40 plus years to our championship, so that's a great thing. But with that, what we've seen though is that we've not been able to grow our fan base in terms of introducing it to new people in different markets. And being in New York will give us an opportunity to do that. We know we've got great wrestling in the East, and but folks that don't always make it to our championship when it's in Iowa or St. Louis or Oklahoma City, but folks that can come in from Connecticut and New York and Philadelphia and DC and some others and travel in to see our championship, and the being in the number one media market in the world also will benefit us greatly during an Olympic year too. So we'll look to do some special things to help springboard some of those our student athletes and hopefully our brethren that will be competing in the Olympic Games as well. And that media that media surrounding that our championship will enhance that atmosphere.
And also, I got to believe that sponsorship sales, you're dealing with some of the great ad agencies in the world in New York City. I got to believe exposing the sport, its fan base to them can only raise some eyebrows, perhaps open some eyes as well, as potentially we can draw more ad revenue. It's about growing the sport at all levels, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. We're fortunate that our corporate relations department, along with our media partners, Turner Broadcasting, ESPN, CBS, do a great job in selling kind of the marketing assets to our championship. So we've got high level quality corporate partners and champions, and we hope to see them activate. Even at a higher level in New York this year than they have in years past. But AT&T and Capital One are some that always have a presence in enterprise, and we hope that they will continue to do that. Well, one other thing that's going on, while we celebrate wrestling, March, the NCAA is known for, its March Madness men's basketball tournament. We'll actually be sharing some of the limelight during our championship weekend with a men's basketball competition going on over in Brooklyn with the Nets playing
Wow.
on Friday and Sunday as well. So hopefully we'll have some media going back and forth, and maybe some fans on Sunday want to stick around and check out some basketball.
I know there's a lot of pressure on the building itself, Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena, but you've never seen a crew turn a building over as quickly as this crew does at MSG. They are phenomenally talented at turning a building over two, three, four times a day. It's amazing. It's a long way from Augustana. You've been able to put yourself into a position and one that's been studied well. You immerse yourself into the sports that you serve, and it's that strategic positioning I think that we've been able to utilize as far as that extra value added is what I call it. But you really have a love for this sport, and I'm not sure where it comes from or how you got it, but dude, you protect it.
Well, I appreciate that, Scott. I'm just inspired by kind of the way that our student athletes and compete. The wrestlers are such a special kind of athlete in my mind in terms of the amount of discipline and kind of determination and resilience that it takes to do that, to maintain your weight and to work out and then to kind of turn it on for 3 minutes at a time and really get after it. And the intensity there is just, it's second to none. So I had an opportunity to work with swimming and diving early on in my career here at the NCAA, and similar type of athletes, very disciplined, very regimented, very smart. So I enjoy doing the best that I can to provide a platform to celebrate those student athletes, and wrestling certainly gives us that. We've been able to do some unique things with in-venue presentations with video board content, and trying to get allowing the student athletes, the wrestlers that are wrestling in the finals, to select their own march out music,
I like that.
to do some pyrotechnics and fireworks. And this past year, we were able to do even show a lighter side. We had some comedians do some in-venue kind of things, celebrating kind of unique things that went on in St. Louis. And I think we'll try and highlight some of the great features in New York as well, and get our student athletes involved in that at some of the great monuments and other things like that are throughout the city.
2016 NCAA championships. You want to be there. The correct way, of course, is NCAA. We tend in the world of media to break it down a little incorrectly sometimes, but we're going to keep trying our best.
That's all right. We'll take it.
There was some approvals by the panel to the NCAA playing rules oversight panel. Some rule changes that were tested perhaps at the All-Star last year and then approved. Drop-down rule is one. The neutral position stalling rule is another.
Yep.
While both were used on an experimental basis last season, now they're being installed as permanent rules. What can you tell us about these?
Well, I think the Wrestling Rules Committee has been really out front about wanting to create more action and scoring for a sport to make it more exciting and easier to understand for the casual fan. I think these rules that have been implemented to be permanent, first of all, when they were experimental, it did bring about that excitement and action and more scoring and during the competition. I think that trend is something we want to continue to see. So I'm excited about it. I love the fact that guys are going to get out there and be trying to get after it, and we're really going to test their endurance. Because the stalling rule is going to be emphasized and very clear to understand for fans. I think that the drop down rule, guys getting on a leg and not working their way back up and not wrestling and competing, is a good sign. I think we want to encourage, like I said, the competition and the action. I think these rules certainly do that, and will increase scoring and hopefully make our sport again more exciting. We think it's more exciting, those of us that just have a love for the sport, but for our casual fans, folks that may not know as much about it, but when we have a chance to expose them to it, they see it and say, hey, I got to get more of that. So I think that's been part of the rationale and the movement by the Rules Committee to move in that direction.
And so it's the natural evolution of the sport. Others, by the way, other rules approved by the panel include recommending that teams wear contrasting colored singlets, helping to, our fans to better understand who's scoring, who's on top, who's on bottom. Awarding 2 points for a near fall if the ref reaches a 2 count. 4 points will be awarded if the referee reaches a 4 count. How exciting is that? We can see some rather explosive scores with just that one particular rule that's being implemented.
Absolutely, and I think that'll push, especially in dual meets. I think, and this is a personal opinion of mine, but I think that's something that we need to focus more on is dual meets. I think that's where you'll get the casual fan to be more connected. I may be a Hofstra alum or an alum of an institution, then I don't know much about wrestling, but I know that that's my institution, and I know if my guy beats their guy, my school wins. And I think when you have those types of rules about the near fall and more points and kids picking up bonus points in a dual match, I think that really creates some excitement. So I think that's going to be a great thing for the sport all around, but particularly when it comes to dual matches.
We're seeing some young men stepping out for Olympic red shirts this year, which in fact will be serving to change the complexion of some of the collegiate experiences out there, most notably Ohio State's Kyle Snyder.
Right.
What an outstanding season he had last year. Perhaps the only blemish that I can recall is Kyvan Gadsden actually winning in a very exciting finish over Kyle Snyder. And it was recently announced on our very program that Kyvan Gadsden would also make a run at the Olympics. So the battles that took place at the NCAA level are now continuing as they look and turn their attention to an Olympic berth potential, and then, of course, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Will we find you at the Olympic Games in Rio de Janeiro?
Oh, my fingers are crossed. I'd love to make that trip. We'll see what happens. But either way, I definitely will be cheering for USA and our wrestlers, specifically those guys that have competed at the collegiate levels and performed so admirably and so well at our national championships. Kyvan and others that have done that. Kyle and Stever and some of those guys that'll hopefully be representing our country in the Olympics.
I, in closing, I'd like to applaud you, your staff, the NCAA, in working with the NWCA, the All Star Classic in particular, as a proving ground. Listening to the coaches, the panel is a wizened group of individuals who understands the impact their decisions make. They don't make them willy nilly. They study, they take into all accounts, and then they make decisions based on
Sure.
proof positive. What you're doing, the work you're doing with officials, to make officials better at their jobs. I don't know anybody out there that doesn't want to be better at their job. Their job performance should be key and recognized by all.
Absolutely.
So we applaud you for all of those efforts, and surely we want to encourage you to continue those.
No, well, I appreciate that, Scott. I appreciate the compliments, obviously, first of all, but secondly, and just as importantly, I appreciate you and this platform and your colleagues and others that celebrate wrestling, that tell the positive stories of wrestling. It's so disheartening sometimes in this day and age where the only things that we hear about are some of the negative portrayals of young people when they make mistakes. But you all help to celebrate those positive things, and we appreciate that, and want to continue to partner with you and others like you that help to grow our sport and to tell the world on how great it is and the benefits that our young people get from competing. So thank you.
You're very welcome. It's our pleasure to have this open dialogue with the NCAA. It is a constantly evolving organization with over 500 employees in Indianapolis, Indiana. But man, I tell you what, talk about far reaching and the number of athletes you serve. It's a big, big job surrounded by great people. Anthony Holman has been our guest. He is the Associate Director of Championships for the NCAA. And when it comes to the NCAA Championships at Madison Square Garden, believe me, this man's going to be busy in a big way. Anthony, always good to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time and the effort to make sure this interview took place.
My pleasure, Scott. Thank you.
For all of us at Takedown, I'm Scott Casper speaking. We appreciate the opportunity to have Anthony Holman in our Nike hot seat today, and I'm surely glad we had the opportunity. Thanks for watching.